What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today we're going to take some time to talk about something that I feel has fallen out of the loop. Now, this is just my opinion, but if we look at the timeline and the space in between, I think you'll probably come to a similar conclusion as I have, and you'll probably be asking the same question. Gotham Knights is one of these games that has had a lot of time to get scrutinized by the community. Not many other games or not many other fan bases are this fortunate. If you think about, say, Marvel's Avengers, there was talk and things were kind of vague, and then we had that beta, and even with the beta, we didn't necessarily know how things were going to go, and then we had release. In the case of Gotham Knights, the blessing on our part as the gamers have been the delays. And I think many probably thought this was a bad thing, but with the delays, we had enough time to see a lot. We got to see a lot of gameplay for this particular project, and we've seen almost every character right now in their own gameplay aspects. So this is actually pretty good. But today we're going to be looking at the developer Q&A and how the devs made a commitment in the last Q&A, but so far so good, we haven't necessarily seen anything. So for those of you who don't know, I think it was May 20th, the devs opened up a specific channel on their Discord server where people could ask a number of questions. And then I think the community managers, or maybe the developers as a whole, went ahead and picked out the few questions, and then they answered those questions here on Reddit at a particular time. At the end of this, the executive producer, Fleur Marty, said, "Thanks for your questions, everyone. We'll be back for more." So there was a commitment. Even Jeff Eleanor, also mentioned, "Oh yeah, let's do more." It seemed like they were excited to be able to just have the opportunity to get in the faces of the community and just talk Gotham Knights from their perspective, and in a limited capacity nonetheless. I mean, you don't want to give too much of your game away in terms of spoilers, but there are questions that you probably can answer without having to spoil anything, especially if they had the time to prep their answers, which is what I think, they did. And so this to me is a forum that actually provides a lot of value to the community. Now, the thing, though, with this particular forum is the last time that we got to see one was on that date, May 26th. Since then, though, we've seen other interviews and all, but these interviews are, in a sense, coming from the perspective of the interviewer, and they already have a limited amount of time they're going to spend with the devs. In the case of these developer Q&As from the community, we get to ask our questions in advance, they get to pick the questions, and then they get to answer. I think that, to me, is a very solid proposition, and we probably will be needing to see potentially one more before the game releases, just to be able to iron out a few issues. We've gotten to see since then Robin in action. We're possibly going to be seeing maybe Batgirl here in a bit, because this is something that everyone is looking forward to. So more questions are possibly going to be arising, and I think this is a medium for them to be able to come to the front of the community and put things in perspective, or at least iron out a few questions that we might have. And so if you think about how a timeline will probably work for this, it's not necessarily possible to say that we're going to be getting one in this particular month. I wish we were. I mean, to be very honest with you guys, I strongly think that, we probably should get one at this time, but it probably is something that's not going to happen. I mean, if you come to think about it, when you consider, that they have the San Diego Comic-Con, which is pretty much coming up very soon. And when you think about Gamescom in August, you probably are in a place where you say to yourself, man, I mean, is it going to be till September till we get another one of these? Or are the devs actually planning one and they're going to announce it potentially after the San Diego Comic-Con? Because as much as people will be excited for the San Diego Comic-Con, I think there's still going to be a limited amount of information. And the Comic-Cons, usually those forums, they highlight things that are not necessarily important or critical to the questions that we have surrounding the game. And I'll explain. So let's look at it this way. You come into the San Diego Comic-Con or whatever it is, the very first thing that, you have is the developers, and the voice actors and those who participated in the game in terms of creation, or maybe even people from the writing side, or even the original creators, sitting there and answering some questions. And most of those questions are not necessarily going to be gameplay oriented. And even if they could be, they would have to be answered in ways that the developers don't really spoil anything in a sense. And they're going to be spontaneous and all of that. And so it's more of a fan, appreciation type thing more than like a community, relation thing in terms of gamers and in terms of the developers. So I think that's what that's going to look like. However, Gamescom is where I think we're going to be seeing potentially the very first playable demo of this game. And if they're going to be going that route, it's more than likely one of those things where only the people who attend Gamescom in some capacity might get to touch it. And this is just me even making a hypothesis if this is something that's going to be available for people. Because even if they bring a slice of the demo to Gamescom, they may or may not be able to have people play it, or they may have only journalists get to play it. I mean, if you go back and look at, say, Warner Brothers Games Montreal in their time when they were first releasing Batman Arkham Origins, I think there was an event that they got to take the game to, and some people were able to get their hands on it. This might be the case with the Gamescom aspect. But nonetheless, not everybody can travel to Europe for Gamescom. And I think that the community thing with the Reddit Q&A really does help to bridge that gap for a whole lot of people. There are things we want to know. Like if you think about, say, the menu, if you think about, say, the suits and the way things are they going to go ahead and tweak the UI? Because for many of you who got to see the UI, many people said it was a placeholder. I thought that this UI was actually needing a lot of work. So there are just a few things that we need to basically take a look at. If you think about modern games, their UIs are actually much more intricate than what we got to see. There are a few things regarding animations that we also probably need to take a look at. I also want to know just a few more details regarding the game as to how story and progression is going to really affect the entirety of the game. I mean, they've said they have some surprises, and I'm sure they don't want to spoil anything. Like, if two people are playing the same character or, whatever it is, and they reach a cutscene, how is that going to actually work? Do you just get kicked out of the cutscene and the original host gets to continue that? Or is it something where both of you are encountering it for the very first time? There's kind of a joke that goes into it that kind of, acknowledges that both of you have the same characters. So these are some really fun things, that we will probably like to see and learn about. And I think in this particular forum with the Dev Q&A, it's really going to open the door for those conversations. But that's pretty much it for my video. I really wanted to go ahead and just basically highlight how it's been a number of months since we've gotten to see anything regarding that. And it's something that the developers committed to, and hopefully they're able to find some time to put it together. So thanks so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate you guys' time and your audience. Shout out to the Video Game Fight School community again for all of you guys do on this channel. If you haven't in any way subscribed, or if you haven't tuned in, I encourage you to go ahead and hit the sub button and just stay tuned. We try our best to be as detailed as possible on Gotham Knights, and you can go to our backlog of videos. They're probably somewhere around close to 300 videos now surrounding Gotham Knights on this channel, and I hope you're able to find something that answers your questions or at least keeps you in the loop until the game is released. Thanks for watching. Peace out.